Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Team Ninja Assassins gameplay. Team Ninja Assassins is most certainly my favourite game type from Action Sack at this current point in time. In fact, I absolutely despise Action Sack and very, very rarely go on to it. I think I was trying to record a live commentary on Team Ninja Assassins and something came up and I had to leave at the end. I can't really remember. But I needed some gameplay off my hard drive. To be honest, I'm kind of running out since I've been live streaming. I do record when I live stream, but the problem is I record in 360p, which looks absolutely horrific, to be honest, and yeah, it's just not the best to take from stream, and because like I upload at a horrific bitrate as well, the whole recording just doesn't look very nice on YouTube. But I might upload like a couple of highlights if something's really funny or something. Like I can just extract like an audio clip if something happens. And you guys should definitely check out my stream. I've been streaming so much recently. I had a couple of problems when I started a few weeks ago, and I didn't think it was going to be possible, but I played around with my settings, and I've got it to a point where I can do it pretty much every night consistently. So yeah, I definitely think it's worth watching. But anyway, I had a topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys today, and it's regarding the Halo 5 Guardians trailer. I didn't put out any videos just after they'd all gone up, because to be honest, my initial reactions to the Master Chief Collection news and the Guardian news was, this is perfect news. Like, this is so good that I have nothing interesting to say about it whatsoever. Gamescom, from my perspective, was an absolute triumph. To be honest, I even enjoyed the other Microsoft stuff that they did. They made the new Tomb Raider game a Microsoft exclusive. Absolutely adore Tomb Raider. And so that was pretty cool. I love the ID or the ID at Gamescom, where they showed off a bunch of indie games. There's actually a game that's kind of like a community-made project that's been on Reddit for a couple of weeks, and that randomly appeared there. It's called Rivals of Air 4, and it's essentially kind of a mod of Super Smash Bros. And if you guys don't know, I am a Smash Bros. Fan, so yeah, well, it's not necessarily a mod of Smash Bros, but it uses a lot of Smash Bros game mechanics, and I was just super hyped on that. I did not expect to see it. I hadn't heard any announcements regarding that, so it was super hype. So all in all, it was a pretty strong Gamescom, and I didn't really have much to say other than, you know, my video just would have been, oh, that was excellent, that was great, the whole thing was terrific, and I think that's like kind of a redundant video, in my honest opinion. But I have been thinking about the Halo 5 Guardians reveal, and there has been something that's kind of been on my mind, and I hope that this is something that 343 take into consideration in the future whilst developing Halo 5 Guardians. I think one of the problems with Halo 4 and Halo Reach to an extent is that when you look back at Halo 3, now Halo 3 for a lot of people is regarded as this like staple in the games community of what an FPS should aim to be and aim to achieve. And I think what Halo 3 managed to do is it basically managed to do this spinning plates routine where like every single aspect of the community was tailored to in a way they would have enjoyed. You know, campaign got campaign theater for the first time. They got the 4-player co-op campaign for the first time, and they got a pretty darn satisfying campaign and end to the saga. You know, with the Forge, the Forge got, well, they got Forge for the first time in Halo 3, which kind of speaks for itself. They got like an eclectic mix of creation tools that they could put up and put to good use within the Forge, and it was essentially a new dynamic to the gameplay in general. And for all these creative people out there, for all these people who wanted to feel like they were contributing to the Halo experience, they weren't just a consumer of it, they got to make something for themselves, and that was fantastic. And then on the multiplayer perspective, we got both social and ranked, where pub stompers or more casual players could come in and they could have the experience they wanted to, but then the ranked players had something to attain, something to work towards, and they could start working towards that consistency and feeling like they were improving towards more higher level play. And on top of that, you got just such a ridiculously good playlist. I think Halo 3 had some of the best playlists from any game to date. And that's kind of to do with the fact they had such good player numbers that they could just like kind of tailor the experience around that, and they knew that like, you know, they could try new playlists. One of the problems that Halo 4 had is that they couldn't really experiment on playlists, because if something went wrong, that playlist would have like 50 numbers. If you look at the more recent Proving Ground sometimes has below 100 players. It was the same with Throwdown when that first came out, and Extraction often gets quite low numbers. It's a real big shame, and it's kind of unavoidable in that respect. But either way, it was very well tailored to in the Halo 3 matchmaking experience. And then you also got the custom game options, where they brought in Living Dead or zombies or infection or whatever you want to call it, from Halo 2, and they expanded upon it, and the maps worked really well in conjunction with the experience. And overall, Halo 3 just managed to cover so many different aspects at once that it's kind of rare that you'll speak to someone who felt like they were burnt by the Halo 3 experience, that felt like they were like, oh, you know what? Like, I didn't get the game I was looking for in Halo 3. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that started cropping up in Halo Reach and Halo 4. I mean, me specifically, I can speak to my experience in Halo Reach and say that, you know, for my money, it was completely not the experience I was looking for, and I've been such an avid fan of Halo 3, such an avid supporter of Halo 2, but they changed around the core mechanics of the multiplayer experience, got rid of an in-game ranking system, tried to work in this arena system, which didn't quite fit the mold I was looking for, and it was just a disappointing gameplay experience. And I know they tried to, tweak things later down the line to help improve that and make players feel like they were getting the experience they wanted. But, it just wasn't quite necessarily there, and I think the same could be said for Halo 4, even though, I don't think anyone would look at Halo 4 and Reach and say, this is a flat-out bad game. There is no, I think they'd have to be a bit of a troll or a bit of a hater to say that, these games were flat-out redundant and terrible and they shouldn't have been made in the first place. It was just, certain portions of the community who felt like they were so well embraced by Bungie in Halo 3 and felt like they'd gotten the experience they wanted as a gamer, felt like they'd been a little bit burnt and a little bit left in the dark when it came to either Halo Reach or Halo 4. Myself, I was more with Halo Reach, but to an extent it was Halo 4, and I think more people felt left out in Halo 4, and to do that after Halo Reach, when hope was starting to come back into the community and people thought they had more of a chance, that was kind of a depressing concept. And yeah, like I was saying, I think only the trolls would say these games just weren't good in any way. I think they respect the fact that there was a good engine in Halo 4. They respect the fact that there were really exciting weapon additions to Halo Reach. They respect the fact that the BTB experience was overall extremely solid and the Forge maps came in and they were just implemented incredibly well into the matchmaking experience. But at the same time, it was just little portions and little pockets of the community that felt like they had everything going for them in Halo 3 and everything going for them in Halo 2. But when they went into these new games, portions of the community were just being kind of turned away and said, well, better luck next time. Maybe wait till the next game to get it. I think what it really comes down to is that a sequel has to develop and expand upon some of the core design philosophies that were introduced in the first couple of games, and if it doesn't, it's not really performing its obligation as a sequel to expand and to improve and to enhance the gameplay experience found in the previous installments. And in a lot of ways, some people are going to say, well, a lot of these come down to bias decisions when it comes down to, is X weapon better than Y weapon, or is X map better than Y map? You can't really make a clear-cut decision in that respect. But what you can say is that mechanics have been stripped back to an extent in certain game modes as the Halo games have progressed. You've got stuff like the lack of campaign theater mode, the lack of a file share at the beginning of Halo 4 was a massive dent, the lack of a working ranking system, the lack of true division between playlists. I think that's stuff that flat out can be said from an unbiased standpoint is, a reduction in content. And when I watched the Halo 5 Guardians trailer, for me, it was almost like the trailer was tailor-made to what I'm looking for in the community, and I feel like a lot of other people felt that way, especially as they felt left in the dark when it came to getting the ultimate 4v4 experience on small enclosed arena-style maps. People like me, people like Delementary are going to look at that, and we're going to see the Midship remake, we're going to see all these small enclosed maps, and we're going to think, we've done it, they've finally done it. They've nailed what we were looking for an extremely long time. However, when I spent time to reflect on it, really what I hope they do in the future is they don't do this massive pendulum swing where they noticed that there was a huge crowd of 4v4 people complaining about being left in the dark, about not getting the experience they were truly looking for, so they give us exactly what we were looking for, but then start leaving other people in the dark. I think there was a very distinct lack of BTB content and, more casual experiences shown in the gameplay, and maybe this is just the start to their campaign. Maybe they're just really trying to send the message home and hit it right in the hearts of Halo gamers and say, yo, we haven't forgotten about this proportion of people, which was a pretty darn large collective of where they started out in Halo 2, where they were getting their fix for arena shooter multiplayer on a console, competitively orientated, and getting the true skilled experience of what an old school Halo game used to produce. And I understand that. That definitely needs to happen, I think, to an extent. Like I said, we don't want to close off portions of the community. So on that in that respect, I'm really, really happy, and I'm happy that we're getting 4v4 maps in the beta. At the same time, you know, I don't want to see this pendulum swing in terms of content of, right, now we've got 4v4 out of the way, we're pretty much done, we've got it, we've nailed it, because in Halo 4, there was a massive, massive, sizable gap in and a reduction in terms of the quality of content found in the BTB experience, and I was expecting a far, far, far bigger progression. You know, in terms of if Halo 4 was going to become a more casual experience, I totally got that, but I don't understand how they didn't manage to nail the BTB side of it, and that was one of the things that more frustrated me, you know, with stuff like sticky grenades being added to your loadout, slowing down the gameplay experience, making vehicles feel like they less wanted to push out, and then the armor abilities working against the idea of free-flowing vehicle movement. Then you've got the vehicles themselves, you know, when they introduced the Forerunners into the campaign, it kind of seemed like a given that there would be Forerunner vehicles, you know, at least a light speed vehicle I was expecting. The aesthetic of the Forerunners is absolutely incredible, and to see it on the weaponry, the scatter shot, the incineration cannon, and the binary rifle, it felt like we really, really missed out by not seeing any Forerunner vehicle additions whatsoever. Another aspect of it that annoyed me was seeing the Mammoth being shown in trailers, and being like, oh my god, this is absolutely incredible, this Mammoth looks brilliant, and then it not being a part of the multiplayer whatsoever. I assume that they intended to put it in, and that it was just, you know, like time constraints stopping them from being able to do that. But I hope that time constraints don't stop them again. You know, I don't just want to see a Halo game where the 4v4 is absolutely mind-blowingly incredible, but every single other aspect of the gameplay leaves a little bit to be desired. And I hope that they don't just, you know, start this marketing campaign and this gameplay campaign of, let's fix 4v4, but then they make oversights in other aspects of the game. I'm not necessarily doubting them, but I'm just more, you know, raising the question, raising the query, because I think we're all aboard the 4v4 midship hype train, etc., hardcore multiplayer, but I don't want that to blindside us, and that somehow gives 343 the right to, like, miss out on the other important aspects of the gameplay, because I want to see innovation across all aspects of the game, across all corners of the game, because that's what made Halo 3 such a tremendous game, is that it spanned all those plates. And if you put too many plates on one spinner, what's going to happen? It's going to fall on your face, and you're going to look like an idiot. And, you know, obviously, I might have this little bit of bias of, like, dude, I'm getting my 4v4 experience, this is beast, like, I'm going to go into it and I know I'm going to enjoy 4v4 Guardians, but at the same time, I can empathize to the other aspects of the community, because I've been there, I've been in that point where I felt like I got left in the dark, where people were in Halo Reach matchmaking, and some of them were having an absolute whale of a time, and I felt like Bungie had, in some respect, forgotten about our portion of the community, and forgotten, you know, that I was looking for this multi-team, the pit, you know, stuff like a competitive aspect of the game where I was truly invested in the experience, and I had a ranking system to follow, and I had goals in mind, and it was really, really depressing to be in that portion, and I don't want to make other BTB players like feel that way, because it's a horrible feeling, especially when we're so ingrained in the Halo community, we're so in love with what they could produce and the core game philosophies, that you don't want to see it, you know, backpedal almost. But anyway, I've been Modest Major. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's quite a long one, but there we go. Peace out.